All right, I'm back again for another episode of Photo of the Month, but this month is going to look a little bit different. Normally, I would share a story behind a photo that I captured on the street, whether it be film or digital, but in this case, I've decided to switch things up. I'm going to take it to the studio and I'm going to share what it was like to shoot an ad campaign for Adidas. So let's get into it. Now, if you've been following my work for a minute, you already know that I mainly shoot street photography, but over the last year or so, I've been trying to get better at shooting in the studio, and that's everything from lighting, strobes, different types of gear, but ultimately I've just been trying to get better at working with people. And so I was crazy excited when I got the call to work with Adidas to shoot their 2024 Adidas basketball collection with Aaliyah Edwards. Now, if you don't know who Aaliyah Edwards is, it's all good. She's a Canadian professional basketball player who at the time of this photo shoot was actually playing in the NCAA for the Yukon Huskies. But recently she got drafted to the WNBA and she went first round 6th overall pick, which is huge. And she now plays for the Washington Mystics. So our shoot was actually her first official photo shoot as an Adidas athlete before she got drafted. So let's break down how a photo shoot like this works. Okay, so first up, there's the brief. This is a document that either the agency or the brand has prepared in order to give guidance with high-level info, overview of the marketing and communication goals. They could include key brand details, talent information, and possibly even visual direction for the photo shoot. Now, I obviously can't show the entire doc, but here's a look at some of the elements I was able to work with. Okay, so this is what the apparel mock-ups look like, and I instantly knew that I could be shooting any or all 3 of these different colorways, including everything from the hoodies to the sweats, or also the t-shirts and the shorts to match. If we scroll down, they've also included these 3 footwear examples, and they also gave us 3 key looks to help in terms of styling for the athlete. All right, if we flip to the next page, we're gonna check out photo shoot guidance. So you can see here they want strong side profiles, intimate close-ups, and they want to highlight the subject's personality with playfulness. They also want a full body look, a torso down look, on-foot product focus, and an alternative full body look. And if we scroll to page 2, they provide some additional guidance on how to shoot portraits and how to pose the subject. So, you know, more of the same, full body, detailed close-ups, torso down close-ups. But for the poses, they want something stoic with an emphasis on the product. They also want some walking movement for a full body look, and they want some real life clothing adjustments to highlight the product details. All right, if we check out the references, just to give some context here, chapter 1 of this rollout had already been shot. So they shared these reference images to give a real life example of the types of poses I'd be going for. But because I was shooting chapter 2 and the US side had just dropped, I was actually able to pull more references from that campaign just to make sure that our version looked similar and was in line with all the deliverables. Okay, so after reviewing the brief and seeing what the US creative looked like, I had to go into production mode. And on some shoots there will be a producer, but if the budget isn't there or if it doesn't make sense, a lot of times what I've learned is the photographer takes on that role as well. So here's what went into producing a photo shoot that looks like this. In terms of production, this may seem kind of obvious, but when you're playing both roles, the producer and the photographer, there's a little bit of a checklist you're going to want to go through. And in this case, these are some of the things I had to do. I had to confirm the shoot date and time. I had to confirm and secure a location. Had to rent the appropriate photo equipment. That was all my gear, lights, stands, sandbags, modifiers, backdrops, you know, the list goes on. I had to hire a hair and makeup artist. And in this case, there was no stylist needed based on those looks they provided, but a lot of times you would have to hire a stylist as well. I was responsible for getting insurance, and I was also tasked with putting together the call sheet, which is essentially something that gets sent out to every single person that's on set, whether that be the client, the talent, the staff, delivery times, you name it. Everything's on that doc, and that's kind of your guideline for the day. Now, although I had done all those things and organized everything to a T, not everything always goes as planned. So let's get into the next version of this story and we'll explore some of the challenges. Okay, so like I said, you can plan everything to a T, but nothing ever goes exactly as planned. So for example, this shoot was planned for 8 a.m. to 11:30 a.m., which means I had to be on set by 7 a.m. to set up everything and be ready to go by 8. Now, Aaliyah had played a game the night before, and her parents were actually driving her back from the US to Canada just for this shoot. But between traffic and crossing the border, she didn't arrive until 10 a.m. Now, at this point, I was definitely stressed out, but I kept it inside. I wasn't gonna let that show. And I think it's important just to share that, because when you're on set or you're working with clients, you're gonna wanna stay positive, you wanna keep the energy high, and you don't really wanna let people know that things aren't going as well as they could be. Now, when Aaliyah pulled up, I made a point of introducing myself to both her and her parents, just to make everyone feel comfortable and kind of set the tone. I also congratulated her on the win from her game the previous night, just to let her know that I was up to date on her season and what she was going through. So while she was getting her hair and makeup done, I just kept talking to her parents and trying to build a rapport. I was also simultaneously assuring the client that I could still get what I needed in the next hour. And over the next hour or so, Aaliyah absolutely killed it. She was so nice to work with, like super easy, open-minded, took direction well, and all of those things ended up just making my job a lot less stressful. So over the course of that hour, I was actually able to capture a total of 385 images, and based on the contract, I needed to submit those photos within 24 hours. The client had to make their selects, and once the selects were made, I had another 24 to 48 hours to edit 20 final images that would be used for advertising, PR, social media, and in-store display. One of the coolest things for me was that the main image Adidas used wasn't even one of the poses from the brief. They actually chose the photo of Aaliyah sitting down on the ground, and that's the image that was used to surprise her on draft day in New York at the Adidas store in Manhattan.
Now turn around.
Oh, you see me up here, guys? Yeah.
I think my favorite part about this entire experience is that it was a first for the both of us. It was Aaliyah's first photo shoot as an official Adidas athlete, and it was my first time shooting a North American ad campaign for a major sportswear brand. Who knows, maybe I'll get to do this again in the future, but I think for next month I'll switch things back to the normal program, and I'll share a story behind one of my favorite photos from the street. But until then, this is a wrap. Thank you for watching, and I'll try and catch up with you next month. Peace.